Thank you. Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for coming to today's Sage Research Methods webinar. My name is Megan, and my colleague Yvette here is with me too. We are both research support officers based here in the library. As I mentioned, just pop any questions that you might have in the chat box. I will be pausing throughout the session just to go through any questions that might come up. But I would also like to highlight that you can email me at the address on screen now, library-research-support@open.ac.uk, if you have any further questions or queries after the session that you forgot to ask. Okay. So what's included today? I'm going to start with a quick introduction to Sage Research Methods on my slides here, and then I'm going to move over to do a live platform demonstration where I'll go through each aspect of the database that we are subscribed to in much more detail. And then we'll have time at the end just for some questions and a bit of a roundup and where you can go to get further help and support. So let's get started then. Sage Research Methods is a database. It's an online collection of books and other full text materials that provide authoritative information on how to perform hundreds of research methods. The database supports a wide range of disciplines and also contains advice and materials for carrying out each step of your research project. It has really great coverage from writing your research question to conducting your literature review, even up to the findings and dissemination of your project. So it really is supportive of both those of you who are completely new to research, or even perhaps if you're a researcher who's a bit more experienced and is looking for exploring other research methods options that you've never looked at before, and that kind of thing. So there really should be something for everyone within Sage Research Methods. This is just a prompt slide for me to switch over to the browser now. So I'm going to click that. Here we are. Hopefully you can all see that now. Just sharing my desktop. I thought it would be best to start the session by taking you through how to find the database itself through the library website. So if you're not familiar, this is our homepage of our library website, which you probably are familiar with by now. And you can either find it by searching in the search bar, Sage Research Methods, and it will just take you to the first option is an ebook, and then the second option, this is the database itself. But I also just want to show you something else, just in case you're not familiar with this. So if I click here on the home page, Database Collections, this will take us to a whole list of the databases that we subscribe to at the university. And if I click to S, this takes a little while to load, and head down, you can see that Sage Research Methods Online is here too. This is also part of Sage Research Methods. It's just the cases specific part and also the video and practical and academic skills videos too. But if I click on this, we're then taken to the Sage Research Methods homepage. It doesn't matter which way you do it. I just thought it would be useful to show you this way too, in case you weren't aware or had forgotten about this list of databases that is available. So that's how you find the database, through the library website. And what I will say is that it is important that you follow either of those links from the library's webpage. as this would take you to the database through the proxy. If you go through any other link, for example, just simply by searching for it on Google, you won't be authenticated through the Open University. So this is the Sage Research Methods homepage, and if you followed the Open University proxy link, then you'll see here in the top right-hand corner, you'll either have the Open University written in blue here, or you might have the Open University logo, but you'll definitely see one or the other if you followed the proxy link, and that just tells you that you're logged in through our subscription. So you'll be able to access all the materials we're subscribed to. So what we have on here is the home page. We've got a typical search bar function here, and then underneath are lots of little tiles which take you straight to the most popular content. I'll go into more detail on each of those later, but for now I just wanted to point them out. If I then head up to the top of the screen, you've got the Browse button and the Research Tools buttons here too. So for the purpose of today's presentation, I want to start by showing you the Methods Map research tool, which is a really nice visual way of discovering how different concepts can be linked and related together in the wider research methods process. It's a great place to start for an overview and kind of getting to grips with the database. There are two ways to access the map. The first way is by clicking Browse and then choosing from the list of topics on the left-hand side, any of those. And then the second way is by hovering over Research Tools and just clicking on Methods Map there. So I'll just demonstrate that. And this is what the Methods Map looks like. It's essentially a map full of the different areas of research methods that you will be considering for your project. So we've got our central concept here in the middle of the map. And then down the right-hand side, you'll see the narrower terms. So, for example, if I just choose data collection here, you've got key concepts, qualitative, quantitative, that kind of thing. But I'm just going to choose data collection. You can see that narrows even further. You'll see the definition of data collection above, and you've got the option to search all content on data collection there too. Or we can narrow even further to kind of qualitative data collection, and then it'll give you a whole different list here. So if I click case study research, I can then choose to search all the content on case study research or narrow it even further. But I'll just click that just for an example. And as you can see, that's brought up 3,398 results on case study research. And I'll show you how you can refine that even further too in a second. So that's just one kind of way to search the database. What you can do is you can then further that by narrowing by content type. So say you didn't want to look at any books and you didn't want to look at any data sets, for example, you can narrow it even further and just look at certain aspects of the database there too. You can also go back to basics and search even more simply. You can go to the Browse tool and you can search by your discipline. So as you can see, there's a wide range of disciplines available. And this is probably more useful for those of you that are just kind of starting out with your research or your project and you want to just get to grips with how the database works before getting into the nitty-gritty of it. You can also search by content type here too, if you wish. Okay. Just going to check, have I got any questions in the chat box at all, Yvette?
None so far, Megan.
Okay, thank you. So when I just hovered over Browse there, you'll see that on the content type section, some of the things are padlocked. And that's because Sage Research Methods is a subscription-based database. So institutions like the Open University will subscribe to different modules depending on their kind of main research goals and budget. So you'll come across some content as you're kind of scouring through that has a padlock next to it, and that just means that we don't subscribe to that aspect of the database at the moment.
Megan,
but most of you will probably...
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's just a question that's just popped up just as you started talking again, unfortunately.
That's okay.
Someone has asked, what are the little green and blue books? The green
Yeah,
strip.
I'm going to cover those in a second.
Okay.
So I'll just leave that for now, but I will cover it in a minute. That's okay. Thank you. Okay, so most of you will probably have an idea of something specific that you want to search for. So I'm just going to go back to the home page and sort of demonstrate that. So I'm going to just run a search for interviewing here. Let's say that was a method that I wanted to look into. If I type that in, this will then bring up all of the content available for that particular term, interviewing. And if I just choose one at random, doing interviews, as you can see by clicking on that specific resource, this is a book, we've been taken to an electronic contents page for the book. And if I were to click on any of those chapters, it would take me to the full text of that chapter. However, if you were looking for something even more specific, you can make use of the find in this book function, which will then run a search through the whole book to find something more specific. So, for example, if we were looking for transcription there, you can then see that shows there's 10 matches in the chapters, and there are 41 instances of the word transcription in chapter 8, and you can see that it's called transcribing interviews. So that's where I would need to be focusing to find that information that I'm looking for in that specific resource. If I then clicked on that, not only are you able to then read the chapter online, you can also download the PDF here, and then that allows you to download those to read offline or print out if that works best for you. And then in the top right hand of the screen here, we've also got another couple of useful functions too. So you've got Cite, which will offer just a quick citation of the text, and also gives the option to export the citation to reference management software. What I will say is these are the only options available in terms of reference management software, and whilst you can't add other reference management software, you can choose to kind of download the citation in the most similar format. And then you've also got the share function, which allows you to send someone an email with a direct link to the resource too. So say you wanted your supervisors or collaborators on a project to read it to, and that's quite useful. We've also got the list function here, which allows you to personalize the database a bit more. So if you were looking, for example, if you were working with some collaborators and you were looking to collate resources together on a particular topic, what you'd need to do is create a profile on the database. It's really simple. To do it, you will just need to simply click to create a profile. So if I click login, register here, you can choose just create a profile. But if I just log into mine, because I've already got one, just to show you how the list feature works, you can now see that I'm logged in next to the Open University link. You can see it says my profile. I just need to go back. Go back to my resource. Let's just click this one. What I can then do is add this to one of my existing lists, or I can create a new one. So I think I've got interview transcription. So I might want to add this specific book to that list to come back to it later. And what you can do is you can make your list public or private, so you can then share that with other people. And I just find that this function is quite useful because it allows you to develop a list of resources that are all kind of in one place. So you're not searching, you know, all over the database for something. You're not losing anything. It just allows you to keep track of the things that you've read. And I know from previous experience that it's so easy to lose material that you've read. So it's just a really nice way of keeping track. So I'm going to delve a little bit deeper now into the different content types that are available on the database. So I'll be covering the little green and little blue books in a second. So one way to look through the content is by the little tiles that I mentioned at the start here on the home page. And you can quite easily see which ones we subscribe to. So you can see that these 3 we're not currently subscribed to because they've got little padlocks. You can also look through content type, as I said earlier, just by browsing here. So we've got books, we've got kind of full digital versions of print text, which I've just kind of showed you an example of. You've got handbooks, which are, you know, comprehensive coverage of specific research methods subjects. Little blue books are in-depth guides on specific qualitative research methods, and little green books are in-depth guides on specific quantitative research methods. And then we've also got some major works as well, which is kind of volumes of curated book and journal content that address particular methods of research. Most research methods textbooks can be thick, heavy text. So the idea behind the little blue and the little green books is that they're just kind of a special series of books that are unique to Sage. And they're about the same length as a standard chapter. And they tackle one particular research methods topic. So, for example, there's one book on active interviewing. So they're essentially an in a nutshell type format for specific research methods. So I hope that answers the question. We've got reference. So this comes in 2 categories. You've got dictionary, which is obviously quick definitions of research methods concepts. And you've got an encyclopedia as well for longer different definitions with more context. We've got video. So the video content covers the entire research methods and statistics curriculum. And if I just click on that there, you'll see that the OU subscribes to the first 2 video collections on Sage Research Methods. So you've got Sage Research Methods video and then practical research and academic skills. Practical Research and Academic Skills is a streaming video collection, so it offers support on the practical skills needed to kind of complete your research successfully. So things such as project management, writing for publication, presenting work, and building networks and things like that are covered. So if I just click on that one just to show you. I'll go on just this one just to give a quick overview and show you what it looks like. So you'll see you've got your video pane in the middle of the screen here. And then to the right hand side you also have a transcript. So this is quite a short one actually. Let me go back and find a longer one just to show you. That's just a quick one there. So yeah, here you can see you've got your transcript here on the right hand side, video pane in the middle. You've also got a search bar, so you can search your keywords in there. The videos are stream only, so you do need an internet connection to watch them. However, you can download a PDF of the transcript to read offline if you prefer. What's also interesting is you have the option to create clips, which you can do when you're logged into your profile. So I mentioned earlier how you can create your own personalized list if you can create a profile. You can also add small snippets of videos to these lists just by using the sliders. So say I wanted just the kind of middle section of this video, I can then save that and I should be able to add it to my list. I'm not sure why that's not. There we go. So I can add it to a list there. It's just taking a little moment. But as you can see, this video here is 18 minutes long, so this can just be a useful time-saving tool if there are small snippets of videos that you particularly want to save and go back to later. So yeah, that can be quite useful too. Are there any more questions, Yvette?
No other questions at the moment, Megan.
Okay, thank you. So back to the homepage then. We've got cases. So we've covered those 5 there. So we've got cases. Cases are a series of case studies that are written by researchers themselves after they've completed a project. So once they've completed their project, they will then use the cases to go into great detail about things that maybe went well in their research and also things that they might have done differently in hindsight. So they kind of go into detail about choices and justifications, about the directions that they went in their research. Often cases will cover missing detail about methodologies from journal articles. So it can be a great feature if you're looking for that kind of advice. If I just click on this one, each case is split up into manageable sections, and all cases come with exercise and discussion questions. So I'll just show you those on this one here. So there we've got exercise and discussion questions, and then also learning outcomes, which make them a really useful tool for self-study. Again, you can download the cases PDF to look at it offline as well. Go back. Next, we've got data sets. So data sets are a series of practice and teaching data sets which give you the opportunity to practice your data analysis and skills on someone else's data before jumping in and doing it on your own. So it's a really useful tool just to help you practice your data analysis skills. You can browse by method, discipline, data type, so you can choose to look at all quantitative or all qualitative data sets. So if I do that, it'll then bring me up with a whole list. If I just click on the top one there. So you'll see that you've got a teaching and learning material tab. You've got the data set, and then you've got a tab here, teaching and learning material, which contains step-by-step instructions that you can use to complete the data analysis technique in the student guide. It's got different steps telling you about stage 1, stage 2, etc. The instructions are broken down into really detailed steps, which just help you to find similar themes to what the original authors found, which can be really helpful if you're just starting out. Okay. So next we're going to look at podcasts. So I'd just like to point out these really because it's a very small list of podcast material. And whilst it's not exhaustive, there's certainly some that can be quite useful to certain areas. So for example, you've got one here on social science of the pandemic, and then I found that there's one on big data analysis, which was really useful and could be applied to lots of different disciplines too. Just need to search for that one if you were interested. Next up is the project planner. So this is a really useful tool which you can find either through the homepage here, the tile, or it's also here on the research tools drop down. So if I just click on that there. The idea behind the project planner is that it walks you through the research process from start to finish in just really logical steps, and it breaks down each of these stages into very manageable sections to guide you through the research. And what I like about it is you can either work through step by step, so starting at the top, so we've got overview, philosophy of research. It's got lots of different questions that they answer here. So what are ontology and epistemology? You can search for lots of different resources on those. And then what you have at the end of each section, so each of these has a checklist, and it just sort of makes sure that you've covered everything that the database feels is important on that specific section. There are a number of different prompts and questions to help you make sure that you've considered all aspects of each particular stage within your project. And yeah, as I said, you can either start at the top or you can just pick up where you need to. So say you're looking at planning and practicalities and you just want to go straight there, then you can. But it's a really helpful tool and just helps you kind of keep on track. Okay. We've also got something called Which Stats Test, which is not on the tiles here, but it is here under Research Tools. But I thought it's worth mentioning. It's basically a mini quiz which asks you questions about your research project to help you kind of come to a decision on which statistical testing method is right for your research project. So I've had a little go at using it before, and what happens is once you've answered all the questions, the database will then kind of give you its verdict and direct you to the encyclopedia function to give you a full definition of the testing method that they've recommended, along with kind of some examples of it, which may be useful to some of you. So it's just helpful if you're kind of really just starting out and you're not sure what you want to use yet. Okay, have we got any questions?
No questions as such, Megan, but someone has mentioned about the audio dropping out, so I don't know if everybody can hear properly, can they?
Sorry.
Yeah, somebody said it drops out for me, but I thought it was my connection. It might just be individuals' connections, perhaps, causing a drop. Apologies for that,
Okay.
Rob and Carla, if you're having those issues.
Yeah, I'm very
Rob
sorry.
is sitting in Norway. I wonder whether could that be the reason? I'm not sure.
Potentially.
Yeah. It certainly hasn't dropped out for me, and some other people have commented saying that it's okay. So yeah, It might just be some individuals, Megan, but other than that, there's no other questions at the moment.
Okay, thank you. So I've briefly covered all the different content available on the database, which kind of brings me to the end of the live demonstration. But obviously I asked at the beginning what kind of things people were thinking about. So I wanted to use the kind of last part of this session just to maybe go through some people's research methods and kind of thing, and things that they're sort of thinking about using, whether that would be useful or not. So if there's anything specific that you'd like to kind of see if Sage research methods can help you with, just pop it in the chat box now and we can have a bit of a brainstorm here.
We have some people typing in the chat, Megan, so I'll let you know if anything comes up.
Thank you.
Elizabeth asks, anything around creative methods and framing epistemologies?
Okay, let's have a look. So the way I would just start is to kind of go with creative methods here. So we've got a video on why using creative methods is useful. a book, a case, so that might be useful, using creative methods in qualitative interviews. What I can do is I can just do content available to me too, so that will get rid of anything that's padlocked. Okay, so that's given quite a lot of results. So you might want to then refine even further whether you just wanted to look at journal articles maybe, because there's 107 there. You might do that just to refine it even further. Was there anything else?
Yeah, Elizabeth also asks about participatory action research as well.
Yeah, okay. So again, I've done all content, but I'll just do content available to me. So you've got the Sage Handbook. And you've got quite a lot of materials on action research, actually, which is probably very useful. You could also refine by publication date if you wanted newer things as well, and see how that kind of worked. Have we got any more questions?
Yeah, Rasha asks if there is a way to know the methods used in a particular discipline.
So what we could do, was there one specifically that Rasha wanted me to look at, or shall I just choose any?
I think they're typing. They may give you a discipline.
Okay.
Business
Thank
and
you. So you can
management.
search. Okay, so you can search by discipline here. You can search then by content type as well. So if I do content available to me, and then depending on what you were looking for, you could look for data types, data sets. So you could do quantitative, qualitative, you could look at cases, books. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. Thanks, Megan.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's another question as well, if you have time.
Yeah.
Alistair asks or advises, I managed to add most references into Mendeley and can then create a reference list. There is one document that is not available electronically. Once I create a reference list, do I just have to add the missing one manually? Do you know that?
I use EndNote myself, and I don't think this is particularly relevant to stage research methods, but
No.
um, so if I can't get a manual reference, if I can't get a reference automatically sent over to EndNote, there is a function to add it in manually. You just pop in the date, the author name, etc. It's a little bit more long-winded, but yeah, there should be an option to add it manually.
Okay, thank you. I think
Okay.
there was just one more. Let me see. Do we have resources on critical theory and qualitative research?
Let's have a look. So yeah, I would say, but what I would do is I would probably refine even further by So it depends if you want books or if you wanted data types, because if you wanted to look at using critical theory in qualitative research and kind of looking at someone else's data set, you can then refine it and look at qualitative data sets there and then kind of go through that, if that's helpful.
Yes, that's great. Thanks, Megan.
Cool.
I think
So
that's all
I'm
of the
gonna.
questions.
Was it okay? I do have until 3 p.m. So I'm going to stick around, and if anyone wants to kind of ask any different questions about the database and using it, then I will be here. But I do hope you found it useful and have kind of found a way to utilize the database in your research journey. I'm actually going to go back to my PowerPoint slides just now, but if we do need to come back to it, then that's fine. Just to point you in a different direction. So I've added a link at the bottom of this slide here, which has a variety of different PowerPoints and PDF resources to guide you through, and they are the Sage Research Methods specific resources, and they are quite useful. So that is another kind of direction that you can go down if you need further support. I'll leave that slide up just so if you want to take the link. But yeah, I'll stick around, and if anyone has anything else they want to ask, then just let me know. But otherwise, thank you very much for coming to the session, and I hope you found it useful. And if you do want to get in touch, just send me an email. I might stop sharing now, Yvette, if that's okay.